Well, I know being a outspoken truth speaker is one of the reasons why I became a targeted individual a few years back. I do realize that my targeting was on and off way before this as well. Uh, Even as a kid growing up in the late 70s and 80s. Anyways, uh, I was putting out some information on a site and I noticed that my comment disappeared. So once again, I'm making a video. My comment was about Homeland Security and FEMA storing tens of thousands of plastic coffins in Georgia and around the countryside that can fit four average human beings. Now, these plastic coffins, coffin liners, whatever you want to call them, have been stored for about 25 years, still sitting in their same positions. Uh, as FEMA, Homeland Security, purchased over 1 billion rounds of ammo and guns for close combat. Uh, why a group working with the United States government would need that kind of firepower against American citizens is beyond me. Maybe it's part of their population control, along with the scuttlebutt that there is now a guillotines hidden on army bases around the country as well. This all coincides with what the Bible put out. About the people who aren't going to take the mark when it comes. You'll be targeted. They'll try to re-educate you, and if they can't re-educate you and make you take the mark, you will be executed. And I would imagine they're using the guillotine so they can harvest your organs and that type of thing. It's amazing that YouTube would actually remove that comment. If it's not true, then why remove it? If it sounds that crazy, no one's gonna believe me, right? If it's not true, why remove it? But anyways, I also went on to say that it was obvious that our government is now against we the people. The only time they use the United States Constitution is when it benefits them. Otherwise, the Constitution doesn't exist. It's also obvious that our judiciary system hates the United States Constitution and hates we the people it represents. They can't stand it. That's the only reason why. One of the main reasons why they use COINTELPRO Red Squad tactics to destroy an outspoken individual, to shut that person up, to get that person to stop revealing the truth on social media platforms. Like I said before, my targeting went off the hook after getting into an argument with a man named Special Agent Fred Barnes, a African American male who can be seen on LinkedIn with all his Homeland Security credentials. He even cyberstalked me for almost 3 years until he found out that I knew he worked for Homeland Security. Then miraculously, Fred Barnes stopped cyberstalking me and his profile disappeared off of Facebook. But that's easy to figure out. I just didn't know how, back then I didn't realize how corrupt the system had become, but I certainly found out with the quickness once they started breaking into my home and shooting out the windows on my truck and loosening up the bolts on the posi rear of the truck so they could get us to crash. I guess they wanted us to crash and burn. Luckily, I found this through a mechanic, an honest mechanic, who's even asked me, who'd you make mad? These bolts don't come undone unless you use a hydraulic wrench to loosen them up. And it wasn't just one bolt. It wasn't 2 bolts or 3. It was actually 4 bolts on the posi rear of my truck that were loosened up. Not to mention the one night I went outside to have a cigarette, and some car drives up, a red car, and shoots out the back window of my truck. And then we got Officer Alwine of the Anne Arundel County Police Department, while standing in the glass, the shot out glass of my truck, refuses to write a police report on this crime. I actually had to call Internal Affairs to get the report written so my insurance would cover it. But even though that report got written, it was blocked from the local newspapers, and it was blocked from the local TV outlets. Matter of fact, the next day they were reporting on cars being broken into. They weren't reporting on someone shooting out the window of my truck with a gun. They certainly weren't reporting on people breaking into our home, death threats, and all the other BS that goes with the street terminology, gang stalking. But we should really turn away from using the street terminology, gang stalking, because that's what was put out by the ABC agencies to make the targeted individual look nuts. And we're not nuts. Most targeted individuals are highly educated, got high IQs. Anyways, basically what we're witnessing is proactive policing and threat assessment teams committing crimes against the target to try to get the target to lash out, to try to provoke the target in assaulting one of these crash dummies that drive around in the red cars. Many of which have actually gotten themselves killed. And of course the target goes away forever. They're locked up in prison forever. And that's exactly what they want to occur. They can care less about the Red Squad idiot. I mean, you people are not very intelligent. You're being used as a crash dummy. You're being used to set the target up for assault and murder. Your murder. Are you that dumb? Of course, they're going to tell you, oh, that person's crazy. That's why we're watching him. He'll say all kinds of crazy stuff. You all are being used and abused. Make no mistake about it. Once they're finished with you, they're finished. They ain't gonna help you. They're not gonna have anything to do with you. Anyways, pretty obvious what these people have in store for the future. And it doesn't include the land of the free or civil and constitutional rights. But it does include a dictatorship, a new world order government. Not looking good at this stage of the game. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to stop it. I hope we can, because America was once the greatest country to live in. It was really a free country. At least when I was growing up as a kid, it was. But after they orchestrated 9/11, and believe it, it was not. They didn't try to stop it. Let's put it that way. They knew this attack was coming, but they wanted to use this attack as an excuse to create a Homeland Security Force and the Patriot Act. They created a Homeland Security Force like Hitler created the Nazis in Germany. I mean, they're no different than the brown shirts that were walking around back then in Germany, stalking and harassing the Jews. No different at all. Their tactics are the same. The felony stalking tactics and harassment are no different. And we know how that ended for the Jews. Luckily we were able to stop it. But these same types of minds have now infiltrated the United States government and every aspect of it. Like I said, all the ABC agencies, our local police, and now our communities. These people are lied to, and they tell them that the outspoken truth speaker is a criminal. And they'll put out every slanderous lie imaginable. I mean, I can't tell you all the things these people have said about me, which is an absolute lie. I could write a book on it, and probably will, entitled Criminals with Badges. But anyways, if you do a little research, you can see what Homeland Security and FEMA has done with arming themselves and purchasing rounds. And there's a few videos out there on the plastic coffins that are all around the countryside, along with the guillotines. Make no mistake about it, this is biblical. Every word in the Bible is the truth. And if you care about your family and friends, you'll do everything in your power to vote these criminals out of office. Hopefully, our votes will be counted, and we'll get back to legitimate voting. But once they pulled that with the presidential election, I don't know how many people who are going to vote anymore. It was very obvious that election fraud was committed. I mean, I did literally probably around 1,000 hours of research into it. You even had the owner of Dominion voting machines saying he wasn't going to let Trump win. And all these illegal ballots that were mailed in, and dead people voting, and it's just amazing that this can actually occur in the United States. And the only way it can occur in the United States is the involvement of the ABC agencies, making sure that Trump was not going to be put in for another 4 years. Because if Trump was put in for another 4 years, their New World Order plans would be over and done with. So they weren't going to let that happen. They were going to put a puppet in there, someone they can control and pull the strings on. And that's quite obvious what they're doing with Biden. Biden, I'm not even sure if Biden can remember his own name anymore. I mean, he is his cognitive ability is gone almost. I mean, it almost looks like they're putting him in front of a camera on his good days. Which people with cognitive disorders, they do have good days where they can function. I mean, I've seen Biden start walking in directions where he was walking in the wrong direction, about to walk off a stage, turning around and trying to shake hands with someone who's not even there, and it's awful to witness. Someone with a obvious cognitive disease being used like that. But who knows? When he was first probably diagnosed with some type of dementia or Alzheimer's disease, he might have told him to go ahead and use him. Who knows? These guys are an evil bunch. But anyways, from what I'm seeing, it's not looking good for the land of the free. God knows targeted individuals are not free. Anyways, if you're a new targeted individual, seek the face of Jesus Christ. He is the truth and the way. God bless.